What's up, everybody, and welcome once again to The Flex, brought to you by Gym Bag Entertainment, and this is your fantasy football advice show. And as always, it's your host, Craig. So, as always, we give you top scores in the leagues that I play in. In my main league, the CFL 2019, my team took home the victory, 170.42 to 131.48. And that's actually in the Elite League, not my main league. Over Catch Me in the End Zone, my co-host on the End Zone, AC. Nice little victory right there. A little revenge from the earlier weeks when he beat me. But I got outbeat in the leading score by just over a point. Absolute carnage beats Peter's team, 171.56 to 104.28. So lackluster matchup, definitely takes the cake. Absolute carnage moving up in the ranks. In my free league, I normally don't bring this one up, but since I took home a victory and climbing the chains, one slot out of making it into the playoffs, my team, Baby Chark going up against Beantown Bananas, the commissioner of the league. I took home the victory, 134.72 to 107.84, like I said, and that shoots me right up into fifth place. And the leading scorer, Not Edwards' team, going up against Show Me Your TDs. Not Edwards' team wins 148.26 to 113.18. Started off to be a good matchup. Not Edwards' team runs away with it. In my league, my main league, the CFL 2018, I actually took the worst L I think anybody's taken all season long. My team completely underperformed. I had one spotlight player, which was Chris Godwin, who put up a measly 13 points. Everybody else on my team, single digits, some low single digits. Worst of all, O.J. Howard putting up a big fat goose egg. And shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. That defense did get me 18 points. So actually, the leading scorer on my team was my defense. Patrick Mahomes didn't show up. Cooper Kupp didn't show up. Mohamed Sanu, James Conner, Singletary. It was just a slaughter of my team. Just a complete and utter embarrassment. So I lose to Beantown Bananas, who's also the commissioner of the Beantown Finest League. Red Solo Cup loses to Beantown Bananas 82.18. I didn't even break 100 points to 142.02. But the leading scorer in the league, Hova Sin 781, beating Uncle Rico's boys 162.86 to 132.06. I feel bad for Uncle Rico's boys in last place right now. Needed this victory to jump out of last place and ended up playing the leading scorer of the week. Sad day, his team put up a wonderful score of 132 points to still lose. And then finally, in the 2K19 league, my team, King of the North, takes down number one overall pick Sinners, 144.94 to 113.12. Also leading score of the week, propelling me up a slot into just below the playoffs. Looking really good for future victories. My team is coming together quite nicely, and I look forward to making the playoffs in at least 2 out of the 4 leagues I play in, promising that I could make it also in 3. All right. Bye weeks this week. LA Chargers are on a bye week. Even though Melvin Gordon has been doing well, you won't be able to play him. Keenan Allen, Phillip Rivers, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, Hunter Henry, all these guys will be on a bye week. So make sure to get your replacements and pay attention. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, Larry Fitzgerald, David Johnson, all those guys, Christian Kirk, all out of your lineup this week. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. And actually, it's fortunate if you have Tyreek Hill. He went out with a hamstring injury in this past game. So he's got a whole extra week to recover. And then finally, the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, Stephon Diggs. Unfortunately for a lot of people, Dalvin Cook, and Kyle Rudolph if you happen to be utilizing him. So all those teams are on bye weeks. Make sure you plan accordingly. Check that waiver wire and see what you can do. Now, let's move on to who you should start, who you should sit. Indianapolis going up against the Houston Texans. This should be a divisional matchup that should be fun to watch. Jacoby Brissett going up against Deshaun Watson, two quarterbacks with similar skill sets, the ability to be mobile and get the ball out of their hands. This looks to be a very fun game. The obvious starts, Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, and DeAndre Hopkins. Some sleeper picks. Marlon Mack out with a broken hand. Hines comes in to fill that slot. I believe Hines is the number one guy. Grab him up off the waiver wire. You're going to have a few tight ends that are gone. We said Hunter Henry. We said Travis Kelce and Kyle Rudolph. If you're in need of a replacement, Jack Doyle is a good guy to plug in there. Wide receivers I would stay away from. Yeah, they're going to have to throw the ball, but it's not. I feel like it will be lackluster. On the Houston side of the ball, they gotta move the run game to access the pass game, and Carlos Hyde has been relatively consistent, and against a strong Baltimore defense, he was able to manage a score. So I think that against a defense that is less than the Baltimore defense, I think you see some good production out of Carlos Hyde. Follow that up with Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills had a handful of catches this past week. He had a lot of targets, and going up against Indy, I think that they're going to focus on D-Hop, leaving Kenny Stills with a window of opportunity. So pick him up off the waiver wire, throw him into your lineup. Tampa Bay going up against Atlanta, another great divisional matchup. I think this game is going to be a fun aerial attack, and I think it's going to be exciting to watch. But once again, to pass the ball, you must first establish the run game, giving Ronald Jones a prime opportunity against a somewhat lackluster defense susceptible to the run. So I like Ronald Jones. I just said O.J. Howard last week put up a goose egg. They are going up against this Atlanta defense, so I kind of like O.J. Howard, especially in the red zone. If you are desperate for a tight end, go ahead and plug him in. If you would ask me who to choose, Doyle or O.J. Howard, that's a choice I personally had to make, and I choose Jack Doyle. Winston did hurt his leg in this previous game against the Saints, so I don't know how productive he's going to be, but as far as quarterbacks goes, he has been pretty consistent, especially in the garbage time. So if he's healthy, I think in this game he's going to be a good-to-go guy. Even when he's throwing interceptions, he's still racking up the points. On the opposite side of the ball, a lot of hype last week on Brian Hill. I told you if you were desperate for a running back, go ahead and throw him in. I apologize if you took that advice. But sometimes when you don't have film on a running back, they throw up numbers, or sometimes they don't. And in this case, he did not. Do I trust him against Tampa Bay? Once again, I do not. So the players I would play in this game, Calvin Ridley. He shined this past week. I expect him to carry that over this week while they're going to try to double cover Julio Jones. I love Matt Ryan in this matchup. He's been playing really good ball since coming back from the injury, and I think he continues this trend against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense can be tough at times, but they still allow a lot of yards, so therefore I think Matt Ryan has a healthy game. And then Atlanta defense. I just told you, Jameis Winston is the king of interceptions. He loves to throw the ball to the defense all day, every day. Expect 3 INTs, and maybe even one of them return for a touchdown. So Atlanta's defense is definitely a must play. Now we got Denver versus Buffalo. And you know what? I really love this matchup. I think this is, once again, it's going to be another game that you don't know what's going to happen. Courtland Sutton is playing really good ball right now, and against this Buffalo defense who has had shines of greatness, but also has shown you that they can be scored on, I think Courtland Sutton gets the job done. Phillip Lindsay, Buffalo is not great against stopping the run. Phillip Lindsay has the wheels to get it done, so I like him. Noah Fant has been productive and doing fairly well as far as the tight end position goes. So you can't go wrong plugging him in if one of your tight ends is on a bye week and or injured. Now I like John Brown. John Brown has been so consistent, and last week was one of the best wide receivers in the NFL fantasy-wise. So I definitely say put him in against Denver. Yeah, he might be looking at Calvin Harris going up against him and defending him, but I think he finds a way to get open, especially due to the fact that the threat of Josh Allen running away with the ball. I think that's going to confuse the defense a little bit. Singletary, I want to tell you to play him. I have him in my league. I have no choice but to start him. And if you are desperate for a running back, you got to take the gamble on Singletary because he can do well and he can do poorly. But Denver has not been exceptional against stopping the run. Giants versus Chicago, I don't know what to expect from this game. It could be an absolute slaughter, or it can be just one of the most lackluster games you've ever seen. Trubisky's been benched, so they're going with the backup, and I don't know what that means for Chicago's offense. What I can tell you is if I'm a Giant, you obviously got to play Saquon Barkley. You can run the gamble on playing Golden Tate, but who I love is Slayton. Slayton has been tremendous and has been jumping to the forefront of that wide receiver core, and I would not slack on playing this gentleman in the future games. Evan Ingram, no word yet on whether or not he's going to be playing, and coming back from an injury and how I feel about that. I never like to play a player fresh off an injury. In the Bears game, Allen Robinson, Tyler Gabriel are the only two players that I give trust besides Bears defense. The Bears defense is a force to be reckoned with, and they get at the quarterback and they make interceptions. So Allen Robinson, Tyler Gabriel, Bears defense. This game could be abysmal. This game could be awesome, or this game could be one-sided. I really don't know how to call it. If I had to pick one, I would say this is going to be a one-sided game. Bears dominating on defense and doing fairly well on offense. Pittsburgh going up against Cincinnati. We got a divisional rivalry, and in this game, you got a team that needs victories. You have a team with no victories. Is this the week that Cincinnati can put it all together and get the W? I want to tell you yes. I want to say that this is the week that Cincinnati wins, but Pittsburgh's defense has been playing really tough. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I think this is a game where the final score is going to be over 40 points. Do you play James Conner? You took the gamble, played him last week. He got 2 touches, and then he was out the game for the rest of the game. 2.3 points, abysmal production. Now he's going up against the worst defense in the NFL. Do you start him? Do you play him? The answer to that question, in my opinion, is no, because you can't trust him. He comes out there one play, he aggravates his shoulder, he's done. So I got to say, you got to go with Jalen Samuels. Jalen Samuels, prime target. If you are in desperation mode and you can gamble, or if you're in one of those deep leagues where you got 14, 16, 18-team league, go ahead and play Trey Mason. Is that his name? Trey Mason? I think that's his name. I'm going to look that up real quick. Juju Smith. This is going to be the game for Juju. Juju is actually going to put up some real numbers. I have high expectations for Juju in this particular matchup. I think he does well. And then Vance McDonald. You've been playing Vance McDonald, hoping each week is going to be the week that he gets you the points that you need. and then each week he'd let you down. This is going to be the week that he does not let you down and that he performs, he puts up the numbers, and gets you at least one score. Because they're going up against Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is terrible. Trey Edmunds is a player that you could play if you are struggling at the running back and you're in one of those deep leagues. And on the opposite side of the ball, I was going to tell you that you could play Tate this week, but Tate's looking like he's in concussion protocol. Not sure what's going to happen. If he's going to play, I would plug him in because they're going to focus on Tyler Boyd, giving Tate some openings. Joe Mixon has been red hot, on fire, looking exceptional. So I would definitely play him. And I believe, if I am not mistaken, that we have seen the return of John Ross. Did we see John Ross return? I believe we did. Let's see what he got here. Maybe he did not return. So, never mind. Maybe that was a different player. I thought I saw John Ross in the lineup, but maybe he's not, so I pass on that option. So, Tate, if healthy and ready to go, and I said John Ross again. Joe Mixon, two guys from Cincinnati that you should absolutely play. And if you're desperate, Steelers defense going up against Cincinnati is always a good option. Miami versus Cleveland, and this is a short list for you. On the Miami side of the ball, this is the one time I'm going to say his name. Might say it again later on in the season, but today is the day I'm going to say his name, and that is Ballage. Cleveland has not been playing very well on either side of the ball, and I think, and without Myles Garrett, who is suspended for the remainder of the season, I think this run game is going to open right up. And they've already released Walton, who was already going to be suspended probably for the remainder of the season. And so now you got Ballage, the lone, and Lard. You got these two guys. Ballage is going to take the heavy load, and I think he gets his touches enough to get him into the double digits. Jarvis Landry, Miami's defense has been playing tough. Can Odell Beckham get open? Maybe. You probably have to play him if you have him. I know I have him, and I have to play him in this game. But if you're looking for that second, this is the week to play Jarvis Landry. If you messed up last week and you didn't play him, don't make that mistake this week going up against Miami. But I will say this, even with Myles Garrett gone, I think I'd still play Cleveland's defense. I don't know how often Miami's going to score in this game. But I see a lot of mistakes being made. I see some interceptions happening, and I think this is going to be an entertaining game. Carolina is going up against New Orleans, and outside of Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and Drew Brees, I don't know I would tell you to start anybody else. Curtis Samuel has been playing well, so if you got to take the gamble on anybody, I think it would be Curtis Samuel. But Ted Ginn Jr., I don't want to take a risk on him. Taquan Smith, don't want to take a risk on him. DJ Moore, even though he had, I think, maybe even back-to-back decent games, I'm not going to take a risk on him going up against the Saints defense. Not at all. No thank you. Not going to happen. So I love the running backs. Maybe the tight ends. Jared Cook, Greg Olsen, those are some guys you could take gambles on, especially if, one of your premier tight ends are either hurt or on a bye week. So that's as far as I can go with that one. Oakland going up against the Jets. This looks to be another one of those really fun matchups. I think it's going to be all offense here. Tyrell Williams and Renfro, I think they're going to get all the touches they can handle. This Jets defense is not good against passing. So I think those two guys are going to get it, as well as Darren Waller. All three of these players played really well last week, and I expect a repeat performance going up against these Jets. But on the other side of the ball, when it comes to, besides Le'Veon Bell, I actually like Sam Darnold in this game. I think Sam Darnold, I think he's, even though he was still throwing the ghost and I think he threw 3 interceptions this past week, I still think that against Oakland, he might be able to make something happen. And with that being said, Griffin, the tight end Griffin, I like him. He scored, I think he scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. So he's looking really promising. I like his potential, and I would put him in as well as Le'Veon Bell. That's probably where I would stop. You know, you can roll the dice if you want on Robinson. Did I say that right? I said that right. Uno momento, my friends. Let's see. Anderson. Robbie Anderson. R. There we go. That's where I got the R from. Robbie Anderson, you can roll a dice on him. Personally, I would not, but go ahead and do it if you'd like. Seattle going up against Philly. And when I tell you right now, I'm not touching Philly in this game. Zach Ertz is going to be... Zach Ertz will probably get the tightest coverage going up against the Seahawks. He'll get their best corner. And then after that, you know, Alshon Jeffrey is out. And they got Nelson Aguilar as the number 1. After that, it's just a bunch of, you know, hand-me-down wide receivers. I don't trust this game. I don't want to play Carson Wentz. But on the other side of the ball, Seattle, you know you got to play Russell Wilson. He's magic all season long. He's going to get the job done. He's going to rack up the score. And Chris Carson, I like him. And you know what? If you're hurting on a tight end position, Jacob Hollister could perform for you this week. Detroit going up against Washington. I am not. This is probably one of the few games I am not excited to watch. But for argument's sake, Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay looking good. Maybe even T.J. Hawkinson. McKissick is looking like a good option. But on the other side of the ball, the thing I am excited fantasy-wise, Terry McLaurin looking to have one of the best games of the season for himself. And Darius Geis scored last week going up against a crappy Detroit defense who's missing one of their key players, Trey Flowers. So therefore, I think that Darius Geis is going to have a fairly decent game this week. So go ahead and throw him into your lineup if you picked him up off the waiver wire. And if you haven't and no one has, you should go ahead and do that right now. Jacksonville versus Tennessee, another great divisional matchup, one I cannot wait to see go down. This is going to be an exciting game. Nick Foles didn't look too good this past week. Hopefully he can flip the script this week going up against Tennessee. So DJ Chark, he put up crazy numbers, 30 points last week. So you got to play him. Sleeper pick of the week, Keelan Cole. I think Keelan Cole might score a touchdown in this game. Obviously, Leonard Fournette is a must start. If you're desperate at the quarterback position, I would not be afraid to play Nick Foles. And on the Tennessee side of the ball, Ryan Tannehill has been doing really well. I have no reason to believe that you can't start him this week if necessary. A.J. Brown looking well, looking like Tannehill's favorite receiver. And Derrick Henry, he's become one of those must-start guys. You know, he might have a week where he puts up low numbers, but that happens to almost every running back. But I think this is going to be a good game for him. Dallas is going up against New England. This game scares the crap out of me. You know what? I ain't going to play Amari Cooper. He's getting one-on-one coverage from the best cornerback in the league, Stephon Gilmore. Then you flip to the other side of the ball, and you have Randall Cobb. And you know what? I don't know who's going to be covering Randall Cobb, but he might be the best option. I think Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper out the game, Jason Witten, Michael Gallup, Ezekiel Elliott are the only 3 players that are going to get the good numbers. On the Patriots side of the ball, Julian Edelman, Mohamed Sanu. I like both these guys. Desperation time, you could put in Tom Brady. I think he throws for at least 2 touchdowns. Green Bay going up against San Fran. Game of the week. I love it. This game is going to be a battle of the quarterbacks. And I say both quarterbacks are a must start. For Green Bay, I like Jones and Williams. I think they're gonna play tough on Davante Adams. So you always got to play a guy like that, but manage your expectations. On the other side of the ball, Jimmy Garoppolo must start. Emmanuel Sanders must start. But after that, if George Kittle is back, I'm always going to play him. But after that, I really don't have anybody I think I would play in that game. And then finally, Baltimore versus the Rams, another awesome matchup. Baltimore is going to kill it. Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram all day long. Andrews and Snead are good plays as well. Cooper Kupp and Josh Reynolds are probably the two shining lights of this game. And you know what? I think Baltimore will give up a touchdown to Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley had a really good game this past week. I think he capitalizes on it once again. So those are the guys you got to play, man. You got to make sure you're checking the waiver wire. Devontae Parker, Sterling Shepard could be coming back. Robbie Anderson. Who else do we got? Some people drop Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks says he's trying to return this week, so that could be a guy you might want to look at. I'm picking him up right now. Just saw him on the waiver wire. He said he's returning. I'm picking him up right now. You just saw it happen. So make sure you're checking the waiver wire. Pick that bad boy clean if you can. And until next week, good luck and have a good night.